Tonight, explosive testimony about what the jury never heard in the Frisco track meet stabbing trial. Allegations from both sides, and now questions about whether a deal to keep it out of court could help Carmelo Anthony get a new trial. A father of 5 killed in a hit and run on a busy highway tonight. His family's plea for the driver to come forward.
It's just crazy that someone can go on with their life knowing that they killed somebody.
The best way to illustrate how hot it's going to be is for me to unbutton my coat because I don't want someone to lose an eye when a button pops. The gates of hell are this wide open, and they are not closing anytime soon. Wait until you see my brutally hot weekend forecast. It's coming up.
Career with another reception.
Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings face off against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. New reaction from tonight's big game at the WAC. And the Cowboys and Saints threw some punches at practice this week. Now both teams are paying for it.
Karmelo Anthony will be back in court tomorrow morning, continuing his quest for a new trial. It's been 2 months since he was sentenced to 35 years in prison for killing Austin Metcalf.
His new legal team got the initial judge removed from the case, and now a new judge is hearing their argument that the jury never heard the full story.
Luke Clary is in our newsroom with all the new information that just came to light today.
Anthony's new legal team says that prosecutors broke a secret gentleman's agreement with his original defense attorneys, an agreement to keep certain evidence away from the jury. Today, both sides are talking to the court about what the jury never heard. Carmelo Anthony's new lawyers want a new trial.
There are people here waiting starting at 4 a.m. So the interest is very high.
WFAA reporter Jobin Punecker was inside the courtroom at the Collin County Courthouse at the criminal trial in June and today's hearing.
Now, we heard some pretty explosive stuff today, mainly about character evidence that was excluded from the main trial.
Anthony's new lawyers say prosecutors violated a secret agreement with the original defense team to keep that character evidence out of the original trial. Now, both sides are revealing the damaging evidence they held back. WFAA legal expert Keith Harris.
And a lot of testimony about bad acts by both parties, but especially the Metcalf brothers. This afternoon, we heard a lot of incidences regarding racism, bullying, text messaging with racist photos and videos. And so there was the comment of why both sides agreed to keep these outside things out.
Prosecutors say they also had information about Anthony they wanted the jury to hear, including allegations from an ex-girlfriend and other incidents involving his past. Tomorrow, expect more insight into how the gentleman's agreement broke down and how the defense says it affected the outcome.
There's going to be a lot of talk about what role that agreement had on Carmelo's defense and his decision to testify. We can tell you that no matter how this shakes out, that people are going to be talking about this gentleman's agreement for a very long time.
So, Luke, why are Anthony's lawyers claiming the original trial judge limited access to the courtroom?
Well, Chris, they argue that it violated Anthony's right to an open and fair trial. You can expect witnesses to speak to that aspect of the new defense team's argument tomorrow as well. The judge has to come to a decision by Monday, August 24th. Chris?
All right, we'll be streaming our After the Hearing special immediately after this newscast on our free app. That's where you can find our continuing coverage on this hearing ahead of day 2.
The hot, dry conditions continue to create a perfect recipe for grass fires. Several acres burned today near Westport Parkway and Intermodal Parkway in the Alliance area. Fortunately, no structures were damaged. Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Pete Delkus for an update on this dangerous heat.
Well, Cynthia, we had an extreme heat warning today. We have another one tomorrow, and I'm confident that another one will be put in place for Saturday and for Sunday, just due to the high temperatures. Today, we hit 105, and when you reach that threshold of a high temp of 105 or higher, that's when the extreme heat warning is issued. So that's why we have it tomorrow, and I believe that's why we'll have it on Saturday and Sunday. So it's in place tomorrow. High temps tomorrow could make it up to 108 in some locations across North Texas, and hotter than that in Friday. We're looking at a high of 106. Saturday 107 and Sunday's high 106. I almost forgot how to put these on here. That's a chance of rain. Now, it's not a great chance, and most of North Texas will be dry, but east of Dallas, there could be a stray shower or a thunderstorm. That's that 10% chance. In Dallas and Fort Worth, in the Metroplex, what's the coverage? 5%, maybe. Maybe there's a stray thunderstorm. I do have a little bit cooler weather in my 14-day forecast. It's not much, but it's something. I'll have that coming up.
Now to an update on a hit and run in Fort Worth. The father of 5 is dead and the driver is still at large right now. Investigators tell us a vehicle hit Brandon Webb Sunday morning while he was walking along Highway 114. Brittany Costello just spoke with his sister, who wants to know why the driver never stopped to help him.
There's a cross on Highway 114 near Northwest High School in Fort Worth.
It's hard seeing it.
It's just a blur to passing traffic. For Courtney Sosa, it means much more.
Like I was just talking to him, you know, so I didn't want to believe it.
It marks the spot her 32-year-old brother Brandon Webb was killed Sunday morning. She says the father of 5 was with his wife. He got out of the car and started walking the busy stretch after midnight. Fort Worth police say he was in the middle of the road when he was hit.
Those phone calls matter.
Fort Worth PD's Buddy Calzada says the driver, believed to be in a white vehicle, never called for help and never stopped.
Even if you're not at fault in the accident and you still decide to leave, it's still considered a hit and run because you didn't check on anybody.
Sosa wants to know why.
It's just crazy that someone can go on with their life knowing that they killed somebody.
She and her brother reconnected 10 years ago. They were 2 of 4 siblings who grew up in the foster care system. At times, they bounced from home to home separately.
You know, we didn't have a lot of time with each other, all of us. Like, we missed out on a lot.
They lost their oldest brother at 34 last year.
For me, I feel, too, he's a little bit at peace because they're together.
Sosa says it hurts most knowing Webb's children will grow up without him.
You know, we just want answers.
She is raising money to cover funeral expenses. She's hoping the driver does the right thing.
They know they hit him and they continue to go.
In Fort Worth, I'm Brittany Costello.
Fort Worth ISD is searching for the suspects behind 3 separate vandalism incidents at Woodway Elementary School. The school is located on Woodway Drive near Alta Mesa Boulevard. The school says vandals broke 2 glass doors and threw eggs at the building. A school resource officer has filed a criminal mischief report with Fort Worth Police. School leaders are asking neighbors to keep an eye out and report any suspicious activity.
We just got an update on that train derailment in Mansfield. Union Pacific says it could take 2 weeks to remove all 10 rail cars from the tracks. Several crossings will remain closed during that time, and drivers will have to find alternate routes. No one was injured in the derailment, and the cause is under investigation right now.
Tonight, construction on a border project at Big Bend National Park near the border with Mexico is on pause. This comes after days of pushback from Texans and politicians on both sides of the aisle. Adriana de Alba is here to walk us through what happens next. Adriana?
Yeah, Izzy, you know, I've been talking to people on the ground there at Big Bend today, and they do tell me they've been keeping an eye on things, and it does look like that machinery has moved out and construction has stopped. But I'm hearing lots of staging and prep work is still happening around the park. Now, area advocates see this as a signal that Border Patrol plans to move forward on this project. And this comes as a legal battle is beginning to take shape. Several lawsuits have been filed against the Trump administration. A federal court has granted an emergency hearing to halt that $1.7 billion project. Yesterday, Border Patrol Commissioner Rodney Scott toured the remote area and then announced a pause on construction. The opposition to this is bipartisan, and I spoke with environmentalists, one of them behind one of the lawsuits, who said that this is about protecting the national park.
Gosh, we have already seen so much destruction within the national park. It makes no sense. Everyone in West Texas is enraged about these plans.
And Governor Greg Abbott weighed in on the border security project today. Take a listen.
And the conversation was always along the lines. They would not be building any border wall. They would not be building any fence. And so when I saw those bulldozers, I called the secretary and said, hey, what's going on here? And he recommitted very strongly. They were not going to build any border wall or any fence.
Abbott's opponent for governor, Gina Hinojosa, is responding to that, saying in a statement, Greg Abbott knew the Big Bend border wall was happening for months, yet he said nothing. And now that the election is just a few months away, he's trying to gaslight voters into thinking he's defending our land. Tonight, Big Bend advocates say they're feeling hopeful but cautious about the pause on construction. And that emergency hearing, by the way, Izzy, is happening soon, next Friday in San Antonio. So lots developing quickly there.
All right. Thank you, Adriana. And we know that we will continue to monitor what happens next.
Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings just wrapped up a big matchup at the AAC, hosting Caitlin Clark and the Fever. Joe, this is a matchup so many fans look forward to.
Yeah, as you know, Chris, I was over there, and listen, the place was packed. Yeah. There were people still streaming in when it was already full. Yeah. Big night at the AAC, and it was a sellout. So many people came to see Caitlin Clark and the Fever in this showdown with Paige Beckers and the Wings. A week ago, the two WNBA stars put on an absolute show, scoring 29 points apiece, so that just added to the anticipation for tonight's game. Before tip-off, the two stars helping fans make more memories. Beckers and Clark both signing autographs. Once the game started, some of the largest cheers were for Clark. She drains the triple here, but it was an off night for her. Just 10 points on 4 for 15 shooting. Paige Beckers was a little better than that. She hit some key buckets down the stretch. Beckers with 13. Arike Ogumbawale, the big story in this one. She had 32 to lead the way, and the Wings pick up a much-needed W at the AAC, 91-85, the final against Clark and the Fever. And that Wings defense deserves some credit, too, for keeping Clark in check. Meanwhile, Ogumbawale found her shooting touch at exactly the right time. We'll feature her and have post-game reaction coming up later in sports.